So here we are, 2026. This year, we're going to do something a little different. Instead of jumping straight into resolutions, we're going to take a breath and just make some space to reflect.
You know that lyric? It just feels like it has so much more weight this year, doesn't it? It's such a simple line, but man, it really captures this complicated feeling of transition that I think a lot of us are experiencing right now.
So let's just pause for a second, right here. And I want you to ask yourself that question honestly. Forget all the pressure to feel excited or optimistic. How are you really, truly feeling as this new year gets started? Are you hopeful? Or maybe a little bit hesitant? The thing is, for so many of us, the year didn't exactly start with a clean slate. It feels like it's begun under a bit of a shadow, one that's been cast by events that have left a real mark on all of us. I mean, that tragic building disaster in Switzerland, it's still so fresh in our hearts and minds. For it to happen right as the year was turning, it was just this brutal, awful reminder of how fragile life is. It shattered families and just cut those New Year celebrations tragically short. And in the aftermath, we're all left wrestling with these huge, heavy, unanswered questions. It creates this feeling of uncertainty and, this collective grief that's just so hard to shake. It makes it really difficult to just move on. Someone described it as a sudden storm at daybreak, and I think that's just perfect. Right when we all expected the sun to rise on a brand new year, this long shadow was cast instead, making it pretty tough for a lot of people to feel the warmth of a new beginning. So, okay, how do we even begin to make sense of this really complex mix of feelings? Well, let's explore a tool, a framework, that's designed to help us map out our own internal worlds. But before we even dive into the framework, just take a second. If you had to put a pin on your current emotional state, like on a scale, where would you be? Are you feeling energized or are you feeling totally exhausted? This is where this thing called the 6 stages emotional continuum can be super helpful. It basically maps out feelings on a scale. It goes from a -6, which is dreading it, and frankly, that's where that collective grief might place a lot of us, through feeling disconnected or just kind of numb, all the way up to a +6 where you're feeling excited and ready to thrive. And this part is so important to remember. Wherever you land on this scale is absolutely okay. There's no right or wrong answer here. The whole point isn't to judge yourself. It's simply to be aware. Just knowing where you are is the very first step to moving forward with real intention. So let's think about this framework in a different way. You can think of it as a kind of personal navigation tool, almost like an emotional GPS. At its core, the 6 stages framework is designed to do 3 things: help us map our feelings, validate that they're okay, and then figure out a way to move through them. And that is especially powerful during big transitions, like, say, the start of a whole new year. Think about it like this. You can't really chart a course to a new destination if you don't know your starting point, right? This framework helps you drop a pin on your current emotional location. And only then can you find the single best next step. Not 10 steps from now, just the very next one. So how do you actually use it? Well, it's pretty simple. First, you identify where you are on that scale. Second, and this is the crucial part, you validate it. You tell yourself it's okay to be there. Third, you just ask one simple question. What would it take to feel just one step better? And finally, if you're one of those people who's already feeling energized, you can think about how you might share that light with others. Okay, now for those of you who might be on the lower end of that scale, this next part is really for you. The goal is not to force some massive leap from despair all the way to joy. Honestly, that just sounds overwhelming. Instead, it's all about finding something called small moment hope. So, if you find yourself at a -6, if you are just dreading what's to come, the goal is not to somehow get to a +6. No way. Instead, you just ask that small, gentle, but powerful question. What would it take to feel just one step better? Maybe that's just getting from a -6 to a -5. That's a huge win. And that is exactly what small moment hope is all about. It's like an anchor. When thinking about the whole entire year feels completely impossible, you can find hope in these tiny, grounding, right here, right now experiences. So where do you find it? Well, it can be in something as simple as the way a friend just checks in on you, or the quiet softness of a brand new morning, or that profound feeling of being truly seen, really seen and understood by another person. These things might seem small, but they are absolutely mighty. These moments can feel just like tiny pinpricks of light in a really dark room. They don't light up the whole path ahead, not at all, but they show you just enough to take one more step. And maybe most importantly, they remind you that you are not alone in that room.
All right. So once you've located yourself on the map and maybe you found a few of those little anchors of hope, the final step is to move from that self-awareness into intentional action for the year ahead.
Here's the very first question to ask yourself, and I want you to really sit with it. What support, what understanding, what do you truly need from the people in your life to help you navigate this year? And after you've thought about what you need from others, the next question turns that focus right back inward. What do you need to give to yourself? Is it more rest? Is it more grace? Or maybe it's just more permission to feel whatever it is you're feeling without any judgment. And finally, how do you actually translate that into real life? What specific habits or new boundaries or clear intentions will you set? These are the practical things, the structures that will help you stay aligned with what matters most to you as you move through the year. So whether you are walking into this year with a fire in your belly or with a profound sense of fragility, remember that you still have an impact. So the final question is, what do you want that impact to be? Is this going to be a year of quiet healing for you, or maybe one of bold creation? The power of that intention, that is yours and yours alone to shape.